Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Inside Track, Equibase's weekly handicapping podcast, sponsored by FanDuel Racing, where we give our analysis, picks, and wagers for a couple of the weekend's top races. I'm your host, Ben Kudla, and today I'm welcome back Equibase's national racing analyst, old Ellis Starr, on the show to give his picks and analysis in the final graded stakes race of the Keeneland Spring Meet, the first stakes race of the Churchill Meet, and also a stacked grade 3 out there at Santa Anita. So we got all the buzz about all these Derby horses and Oaks horses on the backstretch at Churchill. I'm going to ask you off the cusp here. So when you see these workshop videos, these gallops, schoolers, whatnot, what do you want to see? Do you want to see a Lacara Bullet like she did on Tuesday? Do you want to see a fractious horse like American Promise shipping in, or kind of cool, calm, and collected like Cold Battle was this morning schooling?
This is going to probably knock you off your feet, but I have not watched a single workout video, nor do I plan to.
Okay.
I might read some analysis of them, but it doesn't tell me anything really. And people could make fun of me if you want, and I understand, but I will read some analysis just to see the experts' opinions of who may not like the Churchill Downs surface. Certainly, we hope most of them, except for the Europeans and the horse from Japan, will have run on the surface. But I'm looking for form. I'm not concerned about how they're training in the morning, except for the times of the workouts. Those are really slow. But if that's their pattern, I'll look at that when it's time to look at the race after the draw. But I haven't looked at it. I haven't looked at a single workout so far. And that's the way I do it every year.
Okay. You are not the first person to tell me that. That did blow my socks off. Don't get me wrong. You're full of surprises. Anyway, it's good to know. But anyway, all eyes are on the Oaks and Derby horses this week. But there's still some great races across North America this weekend. 11 stakes races on the schedule, including 3 graded stakes races. But today's show, we'll be covering the Grade 3 Bewitch Stakes on Friday's closing day at Keeneland, the Roxelana Stakes on opening night of Churchill Downs on Saturday, as well as the Grade 3 Royal Heroine Stakes at Santa Anita on Saturday. But before we dive in, Triple Crown season is here, and so are the deals. Now through June 8th, get a quarterly subscription to Equibase Premium Past Performances or a quarterly subscription to RaceLens for just $99. Use those promo codes down below on Equibase.com to unlock this sweet, sweet deal ahead of the Triple Crown season. They will also be down in the video description down below, as well as social media. Let's move on to this Grade 3 Bewitch Stakes at Keeneland. Closing day is Friday. Very sad. I can't believe how fast this meet went. All of a sudden, it was opening day, and now it's closing day. But I guess that's life, right? But anyway, the Grade 3 Bewitch, a mile and a half on the turf, fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. Last year's winner was Chop Chop at 3-1 for trainer Brad Cox with Axel Concepcion aboard. Prior to Chop Chop winning last year, Warlike Goddess. She won this race 3 consecutive years in a row for trainer Bill Mott. But moving on, competitive field of 9 here on Friday. Ellis, who'd you land on in here?
Well, speaking of RaceLens, and folks should take advantage of the offer. I mean, some of the things that helped me finish 34th in the National Horse Players Championship, helped me every day, come from RaceLens. Nothing really out of the ordinary, but I'm looking for things. For example, my top pick in this race is Just Basking. Opens at 12-1. Some people are going to shake their head. Well, why are you picking a horse like this? Well, she started her career on all weather, ran second, which is probably what you do for a turf horse, maybe a turf horse, but at least to give a horse an easy race. All weather or turf first time out. Ran second in Keeneland, stretched out to mile 16th. This was a year ago in 2 weeks, April of 2024. Then almost a year to the day, April 27, 24, stretched out to a mile and a quarter. And really ran the best race of her career to that point. I mean, she just went from 9th to 1st, won by almost 8, with a really big effort. Mile 8th after that, not so good. But then Ian Wilkes ships her to Prairie Meadows for the Iowa Oaks. I mean, it wasn't a great field. It's a field of 5, but she wins by 5. Very good. And then puts her in against some of the best 3-year-old fillies in the country in the Alabama, where she runs 3rd behind Power Squeeze and Candy. Candy just came back last week in the Double Dog Dare Stakes. Off since then to mature from 3 to 4. and tries for the return is a turf race. And it doesn't look that great on paper. She finishes 7th. She was 5-2, beaten 4 lengths. However, I think that was just a prep because she proved she wants a 1.25 miles. And you look at Arrogate, and this is the race lens comment now. Arrogate hasn't had a lot of horses run 12 furlongs, but he did produce Linda's Gift, who won 6 of 16, 400 grand, and was a 12 furlong stakes winner. And also, Wilkes won this race. Ran second in this race. Did make a good note. Sorry, I got a bad note. Either won or finished second in this race with Miss Yearwood a while back, who then won the Kirtana Stakes at Churchill in the summer, which is 1.5 miles. So Wilkes knows what he's doing here. Chris Landeros, his son-in-law, has ridden the horse 4 straight, including the win at Iowa Oaks. And this breeding is just screams 12 furlongs to me, and the race is not that tough. So I'll make her my top pick. I'll also look at the 3 Forever After All, the 9-5 favorite. Obviously, she's run twice at distance, 1 win, 1 second. Last year, she lost by a head last October in the fall equivalent of this race, the Dowager Stakes. Big effort. And then she won the La Prevoyante at Gulfstream on January 25th, also at 12. And the last time she didn't run as well, coming off of the win, she kind of regressed a little bit to 5th. But before that, second, first, 1.3 miles, 1.5 miles. So she's logical. And the last one to take a look at here, also a little bit of a price, is You Know Nothing, which is what people tell me all the time when I give them. Made you laugh. A newly turned 4-year-old, same as Just Basking, and she ran second 1 mile 3/8, 4 back. Ran second. She won 1 mile 3/8, 2 back at Gulfstream, and then she ran pretty lousy in the Very One Stakes at 11 furlongs. But she's the higher odds of the Clement uncoupled entry with Eternal Silence. I love the fact that Rosario goes to Eternal Silence, so You Know Nothing gets Giroux, and I prefer Giroux in a race like this. So 5-3-9 for me and 2 long shots in the chalk.
Okay. All right. Can't knock it. Just Basking, I also have that in my top 3. Let me show mine over here. But you know what I was thinking of? 5 years ago, around this time, we were watching If Carol Was Just Basking and the Tiger King. It's crazy to think that show was 5 years ago. But anyway, nothing too exciting for me here with the 9-5 morning line favorite. But I think at this 1.5 mile distance, this mare is the real deal. But I promise for the last 2 races in the show, I have some long shots. But a 9-5 morning line favorite for me here. Brendan Walsh trained with Irad Ortiz Jr. getting the mount. He's winning at 23% first time riding the past 6 months from 443 starts. Brendan Walsh having a wonderful Keeneland meet as well, winning at 31% with 8 wins. Walsh and Ortiz Jr. at Keeneland also very successful together. Past 3 years, they went at 33% in all races at Keeneland, 56% in the money, and a plus 77% ROI. 9 wins from 27 starts. In the past 3 years at Keeneland together, they win at 44% together. 7 wins from 16 starts, but a plus 107% ROI. In the last 2 years across all tracks, they win at 31% together, 12 wins from 39 starts. So obviously the statistics are there for Walsh and the Ortiz Jr. team. But going to this mare, the last 5 starts, 4 of which were grade 3s, and 1 was a listed stake. She has 3 seconds, all by a length or less. A win over Chop Shop in the grade 3 La Prevoyante Stakes at Gulfstream in January. And she finished 5th last time in the grade 3, the Very One Stakes at Gulfstream. But I did go back and watch that replay. And she's about dead last on the rail for a majority of that race. And going to the final turn, she started to gain a bit of ground, but was stuck in traffic going into the lane. Things finally opened up on the outside. She tried to rally, but that 1 3/8 distance, she just couldn't get there in time. With the 2, Menstitude holding second. And on paper, that definitely looks better with the Menstitude. But she wasn't gaining any ground at the end. Forever After All was gaining with every single stride on the outside. And then the grade 3 La Prevoyante, she did the same thing to get Chop Shop at the wire, going 8th to 1st in the last point of call. But this is a 1 1/8. That was a 1 1/8 distance. So that 1 furlong is very important to this mare. She has a win and a second by a nose at this 1.5 mile distance, both involving Chop Shop, who we saw win this race last year. Ranked first in average speed with a 101 in here, ranked first in average class with a 106, and ranked second in late pace rating, with a 104. Breezing well at Turfway. I hate to pick pick favorites, but that's the way she goes. I think with this 2, Immensitude, Bill Mott with Flavian Pratt aboard, this mare is also due for a win, finishing in the money her last 4 starts, all at the stakes level and grade 3 level. Ranked second in average class with a 104, second in average speed with a 100, only behind Forever After All. It's a talented mare, no doubt, but I just have concerns at this 1.5-mile distance. A, she's never run this far before, and B, she has yet to win over a 1.125-mile distance. And Bill Mott and Flavian Pratt are 2 names that are synonymous with success for sure in racing. But in the past 3 years together, they just win at 11%, 3 wins from 28 starts, and 2 of those wins being at Keeneland. In the past 3 years, graded stakes races, they're just 1 for 8, 13%. The last time this mare won was in September of 2023 in a grade 3 in France before coming to the States. Yeah, I think she's very talented, but with superb connections. But this distance, I just don't really like her. And a lot of things, like you said about Jess Basking. I mean, geez, what a talented filly. And I'm just such a question mark on why he's going back on the turf. I mean, obviously, she can run off in the Iowa Oaks. She can be with the best. The Grade 1 Alabama, that's a wicked good race. So Ian Wilkes, I mean, he must have just seen something. So I'll just definitely be adding her.
It's the Arrogate breeding. I can almost guarantee you the reason he's putting on turf is he thinks the Arrogate breeding is going to shine through here.
Well, this is why we have Equibase's national racing analyst on the show to bring up angles like that.
I want to add one more thing. It's interesting, and I know we're talking about this a lot, but there's no knocks on Immensitude and Forever After All, but their combined record of 24 and 25 is 2 wins, 6 seconds, and 5/3. And they definitely should be used in exactas, trifectas, but geez, I mean, I wouldn't bet either of them to win only because they just don't seem trustworthy. Maybe, and they may like the distance on, and not it's not a knock on your picks. It's telling everybody listening out there that they might win, but certainly at those odds, they're not good win bets unless someone thinks that they have a 50% or 40% chance to win, in which case 9-5 or 5-2 would offer value.
Yeah, no, 9-5 was tough to take, but definitely not at 5-2 for Immensitude for me. But regardless, I'm still going to go with the 3, Forever After All. Let's move on here. The Grade 3 Royal Heroine Stakes on Saturday at Santa Anita, a mile on the turf for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. Last year's winner was uncorked at odds of 5-1 for trainer Phil D'Amato with Frankie Dettori aboard. D'Amato has won this race 4 times since 2015, and he has 4 entered here on Saturday, including Uncorked, who's back in to defend her title. Ellis, will Phil D'Amato horse take this again? Or are you going a different route?
No, I think Tirupati, and I just checked the odds before you went on, and the opposite, like you said, favorites. In this case, I am taking a favorite. She's 2-1 morning line, and she just seems like the horse. You know, when you're betting a milers and greater stakes, you're looking for milers. Tirupati's won a mile on grass 6 times, 3 wins, 1 second, 1/3. She just missed in the tougher Grade 2 Buena Vista on March 1st. She won the Wilshire on March 29th, and she's very tactile because in the Buena Vista, she was 8 back after a half mile, made the lead, and got run down late. And in the Wilshire, nobody else wanted the lead, and she went to the lead. She ran 46-45, but she's not going to have a lead here because Hamwood Flyer is coming back from a layoff since January and is absolute need. The lead type to look at her PPs. She's always in front. She runs the first, even in a mile, she runs the first quarter 22 and change. She runs the half at 45. I mean, she's just going to set up Tirupati perfectly to stalk in second under Rispoli, who, of course, has journalism coming with Derby in a week, and get a good mount. The 1 Public Assembly, the 2 Raw Ability, 2 others to consider. Public Assembly could be this good. Oddly enough, she's one of D'Amato's 4 horses. She moved from Chad Brown to Phil D'Amato, which is a little rare. It looks like she was privately purchased. She was in different owners' care last year. She ran first and second her last 2 before the layoff, made an allowance, came back in allowance. And boy, she was a different horse. She got a career best 100 Equibase speed figure. To put it in perspective, Tirupati got a 99 in the Wilshire. So Public Assembly's Equibase figure in the 1.25 mile turf race, allowance race, was as good as Tirupati's win in the Grade 3. And the cutback from 10 furlongs to 8 is really good, in my opinion. Fracey rode her great. I think if she runs better she can. I think Tirupati runs the last quarter about 23-1, Public Assembly 23-6, but Public Assembly is making her second driver layoff, which might mean she can run better. And then raw ability for Sadler, 2 in a row, allowance. She won her only start in Ireland. She's an unknown factor, a little slower on the Equibase speed figure scale, 94 and 90, but she's undefeated. You can't knock an undefeated horse. And her last quarters are 22 and 3 and 22 and 4, which are cooking. So I would look at Tirupati certainly as a win bet at about that 2-1 if you can get it. One of the other ones maybe at 3-1, 7-2, and box these three for. I don't really give much of a shot to any of the other. Is not the full field of 13. I'm sure you have some other thoughts.
Oh, I absolutely do. But,
okay. Go.
I'm going for a big price. Morning line of 20-1 out there. Lunar Impact. So I gave it a 9-5 in the Bewitch. I promised that I'd give a little bit more value. But Lunar Impact, 5-year-old mare by Australian Zaya Zoustar out of Button Moon, an Irish mare bred in Great Britain. So all of the European blood in one. But Dan Blacker trained with Armando Ayuso aboard. Blacker and Ayuso don't have a lot of starts together, but in the last 3 years, they have 3 wins from 14 starts, 21%, all in different horses. Those wins were, by the way. This horse is coming off a 9-month layoff, last running an Osunita Stakes at Del Mar on July 21st of last year. Finished 5th in that race to Ag Bullet, who came back to win the Grade 2 Ladies Turf Sprint Stakes at Kentucky Downs by 5.5 lengths, and Hang the Moon came back to win the Grade 2 Rodeo Drive Stakes at Santa Anita. She was looking really good that race, laying in second for most of the race, and some just must have happened in the deep stretch because she just weakened on the rail and settled for 5th. And I guess that's where the 9-month layoff comes into play. But prior to the Oceana Stakes, last time out, Lunar Impact has some very nice running lines. Broke her maiden going a mile on the turf at Del Mar, made in special weight. I run 6th in the Zip Me Stakes, and then 3rd in the allowance race, both on the downhill turf course at Santa Anita, going 6.5 furlongs. After that, comes back to win an allowance on the downhill turf at Santa Anita over Miss Lizzie in second, who went on to win the Misdirection Stakes next time out. It runs 4th by just a length and a half, going 6.5 on the downhill turf, once again to Ag Bullet in the Wishing Well Stakes. And finally goes back to the 2-turn mile on turf, wins an allowance optional 80 by half a length with Frankie Dettori aboard, running a 105 Equibase speed figure. And then last time out was, of course, the Osunita Stakes. Huge question mark on this filly, but I think she has the talent. Ranked 1st in here in average speed with a 101, ranked 1st in late pace rating with a 106.5. 2 wins from 3 starts at this mile distance on the turf. And as we've all seen before, Dan Blacker can bring these horses back to graded stakes winning form. As we saw with Straight No Chaser taking a whole year off before coming back to win the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Sprint and the Ride a Dirt Sprint, as we saw as well. El Patente took a 10-month layoff and just ran a 121 Equibase speed figure. That's the highest Equibase speed figure of 2025 so far. So taking a shot basically on Dan Blacker for this 20-1, although it is a very tough post out there, 13, but nonetheless, 20-1. I love it. I was kind of in between the 6 and the 2 here. I'll use them both for exotics, but I went with the 2 as my second play, an undefeated 4-year-old filly bred in Ireland. Won a maiden in Ireland. Odds of 40-1, which is kind of interesting before coming to the States with the trainer switch to John Sadler, who's having quite the meet. 4 wins from 8 starts. First start in North America, she was dead last the whole race. Looked like she was not even part of it after a slow start, as you can see in the chart comments. Swings to the outside, going to the final stretch, and just absolutely mows him down, going a mile on the turf at Del Mar. Went from 9th to 1st by half a length of 1 point a call. Ultra impressive run, earning a 94 Equibase speed figure. Comes back to run another allowance optional claimer, going a mile on the turf, and was much more forwardly placed. Wins easy by 3/4 of length, holding off a charging late run. Definitely taking a big step up, going off Lasix, but 3 for 3 going a mile on the turf. This Grade 3 seems like a solid step up, a good move for Sadler. Barrios is back aboard on Saturday, and he's aboard for both wins in the States. Also chose this horse over my 13, so that says a little bit of something. That being said, in the past 3 years, Sadler and Barrios win at just 4% in graded stakes races. 1 win from 25 starts. But regardless, dangerous runner with a 9-2 morning line. And everything you said about Tirupati. But 2-1 is just a little bit low for me with this. So I might just stick with a big win bet on the outside, or maybe box up 4 in a trifecta. But we shall see.
I will say, if Lunar Impact had a race this year, she might be my top pick. I totally
agree. I would have loved to see a race before this.
You're getting the value for making up for the concern about the layoff, so it's certainly a very good pick.
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, I thought 20 to 1 is pretty generous on that horse, but yeah, Tirapati is a ton of talent. Raw Billy is a ton of talent. Phil Diamato is going to get some money on his horses. By the way, I think Year One Public Assembly, that's his best chance in the race for all the Diamato starters, all 4 of them. But anyway, I thought it was a lovely race to handicap and a treat to have a full field of 13 out there at Santa Anita. But anyway, let's move on. Last but not least, the feature race of opening night at Churchill Downs on Saturday, the Roxelana Stakes going off at a Stygian 9:40 p.m. Eastern. Oh my goodness, it's so late. 6 furlongs on the dirt for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. Very common theme in this episode. Last year's winner was Zetlos at odds of 3 to 1 for trainer Steve Asmussen with Joel Rosario aboard. Zetlos went on to win the Open Mind Stakes at Churchill in September and the Grade 2 Thoroughbred Club of America Stakes at Keeneland before her bid, and the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. Field of 8 for some late night racing action in the Ville. So who you got?
Well, first let's say that the morning line favorite, Sandy Bottom, 5 to 2. And the reason I like this race is because I think she's vulnerable. She has earned 3 wins, all wire to wire, and in the other 2, she got the lead and really got late in the La Brea last December and in February in the Carousel at Oakland, even at 6 furlongs. She got some pressure, but I don't know that she really wants this track. The Churchill track's a lot deeper. She said if he works on it, I respect Mike McCarthy, but I think the 7-girl weekend is going to press her with Declan Cannon, who did that, press the pace like 5 races in a row from last May through December, then had a bad race, took a layoff. I think that sets it up pretty nicely for the one non-violence. This horse just won a mile at Evangeline, which is a regular 2-turn mile. Won by 8 1/4. It was a little stake worth 60,000. Got a strong 94 Equibase speed figure, and that happens to be, except for Harbor Springs, the best last race speed figure in the field. But the horse also, it's not just Louisiana horse, non-violence. She won at Churchill in May of 2023 as a 4-year-old by 6 lengths at 6.5. Then she won at Ellis Park in the mud, and there is a good chance of rain on Saturday. So she likes that both. She gets inside trip, and her running line suggests she runs second or third early. Mitchell Merle rode her last time. Calhoun keeps the horses in form really nicely, running back to back, and 92 is just fine. The 8 Minx Palace outside Luis Saez. As of now, we don't know, but he may win the riding title. He's been riding lights out, fighting with Pratt and Ortiz for the win. Saez gets back on after a race with Jose Ortiz and Torres. 3 back last September at Churchill. Great win from 6 to win by a head under Saez. And then the Raven run overmatched. And then a little layoff. December ran 7th, I don't know, but she fired fresh to win first out at Churchill. She fired fresh to run second out at Churchill. And she won at Churchill in September. So 4 to 1 square, and 6 Harbor Springs won her last race, the allowance race. I don't think she should be 3 to 1, but she's good. She's 3 for 11. She also has one at Churchill, and she has a really excellent workout. 46 8/10, best of 98.
So fast.
Bullet.
Oh
A bullet. So you wonder where the horse can stay in form. Yeah, I think she can. She's won on wet as well. So non-violence is my top pick, bet her to win. I don't think we'll get any value 4 to 1, 3 to 1, the other 2, but definitely a strong exacta box 168 because I'm taking a stand against Sandy Bottom.
All right, there you have it, folks. I do agree with you. I'm going to take a stand against Sandy Bottom as well. I'm going to go for a little bit of a price here. A Tripolina morning line of 10 to 1. An interesting little 4-year-old Constitution filly for the Chris Hartman barn. Luan Machado aboard. Started career up in Canada at Woodbine. Won on career debut by 4 3/4 lengths. Main special weight going 5.5 furlongs in the all-weather. Runs off in the display stakes in her second start of her life, but she has yet to win since. Mind you, that win was in October of 2023. She ran in 4 straight Grade 3 races after her win in the display. 2nd in the Mazarine, 4th in the Collins Stakes, trying turf for the first time. 6th in the Fashion Stakes, 3rd in the Bezarabarian Stakes in November before coming to Oaklawn, switching to the Chris Hartman barn. Runs second by half a length in her first start in dirt, going 6 furlongs, running her career best 103 Equibase speed figure. So she might not have a win on regular dirt yet, but she has the ability to be fast on it. So then scratches out of the Pippin Stakes. They're running an allowance optional 62.5, going a mile 16th on the dirt, and looked good before flattening out a bit at that distance. Goes back to the same class, but this time going 6 furlongs in the dirt, runs 4th by just a length and a half after a somewhat slow start, coming from 11th and found herself in some traffic as well. So I'll give her an excuse for that. They decided to stretch out again in the Lap Trail overnight stakes, and she finished 5th. But going back to watch that replay, she actually did run decent. It's just not her distance. Her going back to 6 furlongs, I'm excited to see her potential. Gets a fantastic jockey switch to Juan Machado. All-time Machado and Hartman win at 31% together at Churchill. All races, obviously not a whole lot of starts, but 5 wins for 16 starts, 56% of the money with a plus 9% return on investment. Put in a really nice 4 furlong breeze and 48 flat on April 19th at Oaklawn before shipping over. This is one of those races. I honestly didn't really like any horse in here too much. So I went with some value with some local guys who know the track. And I'll gladly take 10-1 on Tripolina. Some other contenders. I mean, it's hard not to like Sandy Bottom, Michael McCarthy, Joel Rosario teaming up here. Kind of rare, but actually only have 13 starts together the past 3 years with just 1 win and 2 in the money. So that's not very good. Sandy Bottom, she's a 4-year-old daughter of Omaha Beach. Started her career undefeated out there in Cali. Went in the maiden special weight, going 5.5 in the dirt on career debut at Del Mar. Came back to win the Nokia Stakes by 3/4 of length, running an 83. Then wins an allowance optional 100K back at Del Mar, going 6 furlongs in the dirt, beating Tamara, who's the 4th foal out of Champion Beholder. And she runs in the Grade 1 La Brea at Santa Anita, going 7 furlongs in the dirt. Set the pace, faded inside. Comes back to run the Carousel Stakes from the last start at Oaklawn, where she set the pace again and was caught finishing 3rd by 2 3/4 lengths. Ellis, you said it perfect. This Churchill dirt is so deep. It's hard to compare it out there in Cali. I do love the connections, but I think she'll set the pace and she'll probably fade in a second or third. Harbor Springs looks like the clear winner, I guess, on paper, but I have some concerns. Had a really nice couple of starts leading up to the Roxelana Stakes here. Won an allowance 127,000 at Churchill by 5 1/4 lengths, and goes to an optional claimer at Fairgrounds. Wins by a length, running a career best 98. Last April, she actually finished 2nd in the Grade 2 Beaumont Stakes at Keeneland. 2 for 3 with a 3rd at this distance. But I'm just so worried about all these scratches as of late. Scratch in December 26th because it's off the turf, so not that one I'm concerned about. But January 25th, a stakes scratch. February 1st, another stakes crash. April 8th, another stakes crash, opting in to run for the non-winners of 2 instead. I do love Irad coming back to ride this one, but in the past 5 years, they just have 2 wins from 19 starts together. So that's Foley and Irad Ortiz Jr. But she's working well at Churchill, like you said. Ranked 1st in here in late pace rating with a 115. I'm just concerned with these scratches, and I think she ran out of her class, and they're trying her here. And I think she's going to be bet down pretty heavy. So I don't know about that 3-1. And this race, I don't know if I'd mess with any exotics. I think I'll just go straight for a win bet on Tripolina. But those are my top 3. Regardless, I don't know.
Well, you talked me into putting Tripolina in the exacta because I think she'll be last or second last early. And if Sandy Bottom doesn't hang on, and does go 44 and change like she has at Santa Anita, even 45 at Churchill, Tripolina is going to really be. I mean, her first dirt race you mentioned, the one at Oaklawn, was pretty strong, rallying from 9th to 2nd. The first time
she lost to Hall and Ice in that one too.
Yeah, so she could get the board at a nice price.
Yeah, we'll see. But anyway, I'm very excited. As sad as I am about Keeneland, coming to an end. It'll be fun for opening day for the Kentucky Derby and Oaks draw as well on Saturday. So please join Equibase on Facebook Live for that event, where we'll be giving you all things statistics for post positions in the Derby. Ellis, thank you so much for being on. I always love our shows together, and thank you everybody so much for watching. Good luck in your wagers this week, and we'll see you next week.